Techie facilities.
Sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Das. Well, we've had a very rich discussion in the first session. I think a number of points were discussed in a very candid and very open manner. And now we have come to the second session, second technical session, ports, shipping, and multimodal connectivity. I think they are really at the root of this whole IMEC. And since at our end, the connectivity part is in the Indian Ocean, in the ports, I think for us also this is very important. Well, as was mentioned earlier in the previous session, the maritime part in the on the our side, on the IMEC side, is largely progressing well. I mean, we had the agreement between the uh, UAE Port Authority as well as the Indian Shipping and Port Authority. Uh, though I must say that in terms of the uh, compatibility or the standards of logistics, the uh, containerization, the digitization, etc. Perhaps UAE port, maybe I'm not sure, but I think Mr. Wagh will tell us in greater detail. Uh, Maybe not comparable, and therefore I think much needs to be done. I think on our side, if we have to keep to the same level. Another part will be, I think, question of security, and that was brought up earlier also. From the Indian ports like Kandla or JNPT or Mundra or whatever port will be now undertaken for this, to the Gulf of Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, and then into the um, Persian Gulf, and where we go to the Jebel Ali UAE ports. There could be also concerns about maritime security. And I think that perhaps will be very key to the whole project's viability. Um, We have new port of Vadhavan coming up near Mumbai. That could be additional facility. Uh, the point that was raised whether Haifa could be the only port uh, at the end in Asia before we go to the European ports. That is the matter again, as was expressed by Dr. Sanjeev Ranjan. It will really depend on the designing of this whole IMEC. As of now, we have Haifa port, but because of the conflict going on, whether it will be viable in the future or we don't know. So these are some of these questions which are connected with the port part. Shipping, again, much shipping is today, uh, I think, influenced by companies which are not really, they are not Indian companies. They are from other foreign countries. The issue of insurance, I think, in the shipping business again dominates the scene. Uh, Even today, I think it is the British or the Lloyd's that has really the dominant role in shipping insurance. So there are issues like this, and of course, multimodal connectivity, that is the shipping come road, railway up to Haifa, and then again shipping across the from Greece, from Haifa to Greece and Italy. These are again matters which are related to a number of factors which have been already discussed in the earlier session. So we have an excellent panel to speak on these three issues. One is Professor Prabir Day. I think he's a senior professor at the RIS. His knowledge and expertise in the ASEAN matters I'm personally aware of. He's a writer of number of books and studies. In fact, anything to do with regional issues pertaining to Southeast Asia, ASEAN. He is regarded as one of the very eminent experts, and therefore I'm really happy that he is going to speak on this subject. We have Mr. Unmesh Sharad Wagh. Uh, Mr. Wagh, I'm really grateful to you for having come all the way from Mumbai. And as the chairman of the JNPA, we can imagine how busy you are. I'm just told that you are also now in charge of the Vadhavan port, which will be, I think, in India's probably number two largest port in a few years' time. So, with all these responsibilities, you are really very eminently suited to speak on this subject. And I think much of the success of the IMEC project at our end will depend on the capability and efficiency of JNPA and similar ports in India. We have the third speaker here is my colleague, Dr. Krishnendra Meena. He is a senior professor now in JNU. He is a professor of geography and regional studies. Uh, he has been also associated with the Society for Indian Ocean Studies for last 5 years, and is our Secretary General. So, with these three eminent speakers, the panel I think is really in a very good position to discuss these three subjects: port, shipping, and multimodal connectivity. And I think before I think I would not take more than this time now. I would request Professor Prabir Day to make a presentation. Do you have a PowerPoint or? Uh, well, we have 1 hour, and if we give, say, 15, 20 minutes for questions and answers, so about 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir, for the introduction. Um, that is very generous to me. I don't qualify such, but it's a great opportunity to work RIS. My recruitment at RIS he was there, as I remember, so many years back. And so let me come back to a presentation. And when speaking before our guru, one of the gurus, uh, Rajat Nag, and our Director General, Professor Sachin, it's a big challenge whether I will be able to meet your um, expectation. But as I said, that I'm not a practitioner. Gentleman sitting next to me, he is the real man. I sit in cold chain or cold room doing things, numbers. I follow Jalandhar Port, we used to call the Trust, and I had an opportunity to visit the first container terminal in SI City long back with Captain Jimmy Sarg. He is no more on the chair, so I hadn't visit, in Nehru Port several times. So what I'm going to do about the port shipping and multimodal opportunities before we start on opportunities, there's a hope because subtitle is a new hope and new opportunities. If you look at the scan through the participating countries, that they are participating countries, not a member. So participating countries, if you see the variation in terms of population, area, basic indicators, it says that there are high opportunities because country like India in particular, and those who are falling behind, they get an opportunity to learn and earn and grow. So that's the basic, and economists will explain very quickly in this 2023 data. But let me come the next one. That if there are opportunities, how to unlock such opportunities. A corridor can help. Subject to the studies. The previous session, gentleman from area, he presented in a very detailed analysis. But gone with the days when we used to talk about an FTA-driven, integration. It's corridor-driven. The gentleman sitting here, he introduced the economic corridor, and Pradeep Srivastava from ADB and others, moving from transport to economic corridors, supporting the GVC, trade facilitation, logistic services, first area lines, shipping, etc. So those are basically thought about IMEC because there is an economic corridor term. But anyway, the model is evolving. So this is an opportunity to contribute. And RIS, I congratulate the DG and the Professor Das to take such an initiative. So if you look at an IMEC, the basic definition wise, this is the countries with varied economic interests, different economic sizes. It's a multimodal, that's what been talked about. It has a hydrogen pipeline and the sea cable. And it also, has there are issues with when you approach the Gulf of Eden because of the Houthis attack. So you can't cross the Suez, and alternate routes are important, particularly for South Asian India, because we nowhere, we are the party of the Panama Canal crisis or the Suez Canal, but our trade gets, hampered for that. So an alternative route like this makes sense. And I've seen that India, UAE segment is very active, and Prime Minister Modi's visit to France, the AI summit, where new momentum has been added because India has opened a new consul office in Marseilles. The Marseilles is going to be a new entry port in the Mediterranean. So these are very quick, development. There are three noble objectives. No need to go in detail. First is expanding trade investments. Obviously, corridor, infrastructure improvement, all supporting facilities will help countries to have more trade. Energy security, that is important because many of the participating countries like India, we need energy imports in different types. And then geopolitical relations, particularly the looking west in terms of I2, U2. So that's what I emphasize. The corridors are basically, it's very initial thought. Nobody knows, and I went through, Sybil like me, the background paper, how this corridor was set up as a multimodal. Nobody has any answer. It was discussed at the G7 level, then the top down. It has been given at the G20 sideline. This was signed. But I look at that, some of the routes and corridors, if you have a land route, there are options from India and South Asia going to west to the Europe. Not just the IMEC, there are other way. You can go to Iran and then going to the Europe in other routes. You go to the Turkey. There are, if you look at the short sea routes, there are all some opportunities here. The new routes, which is the corridors in the maps indicates that if you start from western ports, some of the ports like Mr. Wagner is maintaining. So it is given in the literature that if you go from Mundra to Kandla and Jalan Nehru port, but there are other ports, by the way. India is, there are so many ports, I should not be very much fascinated with the ports done in the western coast. So there are other ports in India which can hook into, and South Asia as well. In the Middle East, then it goes to opportunities for railway line. It has an opportunity for other, airways, etc., etc. So these are being discussed, but moving from a strategic route, which were initially thought about, connecting Mundra, terminal operated by one particular Indian company. Then Jebel Ali, there are many free trade zones operated by one particular Indian company. Then going to Haifa, again the terminal operated by one particular Indian company. These are purely strategically done, never thought much even. So the government has given the task to us that you come out with something better. That's what we will be doing it here. Next come to that if we have in multimodal corridors, are they going to sustain? Given that there are many security threats, etc. At RIS, on motivation from the Director General, we came out with some numbers. These numbers are very, very easy to come out because if you are dealing with the trade, Indian ports and shipping can tell you the trade movement between the country by container volume, by weight, right? But when we do look at the trade, we look at all as the value terms, American dollar. Converting it the value to weight, and that to the custom code wise, is a big challenging task. This is another new opportunity, perhaps for Professor Mahanti and others to work on it. So we have done some numbers, sir. If India's estimated cargo volume with other IMEC partners, and I no need to go through these numbers, just to get a feeling that these are the big numbers we have actually calculated, for all the member countries in terms of container volume. So all it tells that these container volumes are moved in different ways at different ports and across the economy. But if there is a through passage going from India, which is going to be 30 trillion, will be generating 3 million container volume by 2031. And if we connect them and give a passage, so it goes straight with very less transportation cost and time. That's basically. Now, numbers are given because there will be some discussion. Some scholars will be doing further work. Let me come to the last part of my presentations, which is that given that the Marseillais has given an entry port by the France president, particularly during the visit of Prime Minister, but look at the kind of a domino effects happening there. They want to be a champion that France would like to be an entry port, Greece would like to be an entry port, Italy has already announced, Israel has. So there are, offer coming from the European countries. So this is an opportunity for India. If we are ready to utilize those offers, then we need to elevate our line of activities. I'm seeing Commodore Sotria is here. He attends so many meetings on that in the ministry. There are lots of interest in the port shipping and waterways. But do we have the capacity? Presently, there is no direct call from any of the Indian ports to the Mediterranean. Second, there is no Indian origin shipping lines. All our ship owners, because of historical legacy, historical reasons, please correct me, sir, these are small vessels owners, mainly are in the hot money, only liquid cargo. Shipping Corporation of Chairman told me that there is no buyer for his company. Government has announced it that please buy Shipping Corporation of India. Nobody's there. So kind of capacity, we have, we won't be able to utilize such, if offers is coming. So this is an opportunity to strengthen our own system. Like, I recommend that let there be more joint working group in the port shipping ministries leading and with these countries in the Eastern Mediterranean, plus study to identify the gap assessment. Whatever they have, what is our gap? Can we reach there? And some technical and legal preparedness that is required. Our ports, Jawaharlal Nehru ports, the best port of India, can they match with the demand and capacity? And they have that with the ports in the Europe. So that kind of, plus if we have an EU-India FTA, certainly this will have an added, added demand for. The other one, which is for information to everybody, that today, if I am an importer in Gujarat, some of the steel plant, gone with the days where we have to do handling, multiple handling. No, because of authorized economic operator agreements between the customs, risk management, and online submission of certificate of origin, SPS certificate, bill of lading, and mutual recognition, I have given an online, and the tech companies sitting in Singapore. This is an example that from Miami, Maersk, they delivered the iron scrap to Pipavav steel plant. It was not unloaded in between. Directly that was delivered to the shipyard in the Gujarat. Because of the banks comes here, Priyadarshi knows, acknowledgement each other because of the fintech and other peripheral arrangements done between the countries. So this is a model, just paperless, contactless trade facilitation can be extended to the IMEC participating countries. India's example is here, will come repeatedly whenever you do any conference like this. It's a champion in terms of the digital trade facilitation, which is applicable to all other participating countries. And look at the participating countries of the IMEC. They have already 100%, they have already fulfilled, committed whatever they have done in WTO. So if the participating country is already done 100% their commitment in WTO trade facilitation agreement, you can easily carve out regional arrangements from them. You are not going a WTO plus kind of arrangement. So I recommend, Chairman sir, a regional trade facilitation process to possible to activate, to IMEC. To conclude, I also looked at, they are in between where are actually lacking. So if you look at an e-certificate of origin filing, e-SPS certificate, SPS is basically agriculture, TBT is a non-agricultural, e-bill of lading. UAE is already all member are compliant. India is partly, Saudi Arabia partly. Most of these are already in the way to get it done by 4 points. Mutual recognition agreements, some are working, some are authorized. Look at an authorized economic operator, AEO, all participating countries, each other. Acknowledge means that my custom house agent is a fully accepted, acknowledged, respected by other participating countries. There will be no break in between. Well, there is also a thinking process. I have 4 minutes to go, as chairman given me 15 minutes, that why not we think this way? Instead of going into Jebel Ali, getting into Saudis, I understand that infrastructure, railway line required, development is required. Going into a Jordan and to Israel, Palestinian thing, which is a it's a kind of permanent kind of arrangements. Why don't you think this way? With an India and Oman, bilateral SEPA is coming up, with very good political relations for a long time, very, very long time. And Salalah is the entry port. Salalah is the port where the Maersk, the big shipping container line, they have a big terminal. The container line only go there where you offer them a huge chunk of land to store container boxes. Otherwise, they won't. So Galathea Bay, Sanjeev Ranjan sir, it is that container line will be operating there because there's huge empty space. They can, they can park their container empty or loaded. So Salalah then goes to Riyadh and then come to Jordan, cross Suez, because Red Sea, because that is not infected by the Houthis, and then come to Egypt and then go to Alexandria and Mediterranean. This is another route I have suggested. And some of the German multimodal transport company operating in Saudis, KSA, they have been highlighting these and this repeatedly. Supply chain security is going to be the major, thrust for IMEC. We should work more of it. Green part is that most of the members are already, accepted the supply chain security obligations, IMO membership, ISPS code, etc., etc. Well, status, I'm not going to repeat. Sarah has already discussed. I skip this. India's proposed action plan on IMEC. There are many projects. Two things, the day it has been announced of the sideline of the G20 summit, look at the script, the Sensex, Bombay Sensex of the 4 companies. If you had the share price, you made money in that day. Concor, Earcon, Rides, and SCI. Because of the announcement, their share price has stood up like anything. So our companies, they should get an advantage, going into this kind of business. So those should need to be the 5 essential steps. This is the last slides. That one is Indian economy, 30 trillion. This is an attraction point for everybody, and they are in the West, not in the look East, but on the look East. Prime Minister Modi's statement, if you look at the 20th ASEAN-India Summit at Jakarta, before the ASEAN in G20 Summit, he said connecting ASEAN, Southeast Asia with the IMEC basically. So we see this horizon spectrum is quite bigger. Plus, we need to do in strategic partnerships. That's important, An economist will get, but not very obsessed with the word strategic. He said, "Ye kaun sa word hai? Hamara sahitya mein to hai hi nahi ye." But strategic partnerships is very important. All the IMEC participating countries. Point number 3, facilitate the IMEC program for infrastructure development, bilateral, unilateral. So far, only India and UAE is bilateral, no unilateral, by the way. And firming, global and regional rules. If you don't make a rules, what I learned from SAR, that club is not going to sustain. You can go to the many clubs, you won't go the second day. So rules, regulations of that IMEC to be ready, and new study and strategic plan for an informed decisions. 3 recommendations. I have said that what summit is going to be held sometime this year. Can we have an IMEC summit back to back? The point number 2, there is an India Maritime Summit, the 2025. We should have a session on the IMEC, ports and shipping. Point number 3 is that IMEC think tank forum. We start, the way IRIS has done today, something on that line. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Prabir. I think you have really covered a very wide range of issues. Uh, I think your first point which you made was that the selection of ports was strategically done, not really taking into account um, the requirements or the current capacities and the uh, specific characteristics of each of these ports. So that is a decision, of course, which has been probably made with a view to rethink, I don't know, but this is something which you can be gone into. Another point which you made was our value of trade that I think determines the selection of ports and so on. Uh, then you refer to the domino effect in Europe. I think that is a very interesting point. And as we heard from the German and the Italian representatives earlier, they are now thinking of selecting their ports also for uh, as a landing points for trade from and through the IMEC process. Trade facilitation, which you referred to, that India's record is very good and it can further strengthen the trade facilitation agenda of the IMEC ports. Well, you also came to discuss this North Africa route, Salala route, which can be safer than present route via UAE, and then connecting it to uh, both Suez as well as through Jordan to Haifa. I don't know. UAE is already now well equipped to handle port uh, traffic from India, and we have agreement also with UAE. UAE is also partner with the I2U2 because you can't really think separate geopolitics from this IMEC agenda, and there. Um I2 means Israel, India, U2 is United States and UAE. So with this I2 U2 agreement or generally a good understanding among these four countries, whether UAE can be now uh, substituted with Salala, that is in Oman, and then taken this to Riyadh and to uh, Egypt or through Jordan to Israel. I think these are matters again which require further consideration, further discussion. IMEC conference can be held, I think, in the Indian Maritime Conference, surely. It can be one of the items of agenda next year. And a think tank for IMEC can also be considered as we now go on discussing this at the track 2 level, in NGO level. So very interesting points which you have made, and I'm sure in the course of the questions and answers there will be um, quick questions on these some of these points. Our next speaker is Mr. Unmesh Sharad Wagh, who is the chairman of the JNPA, and we would now request him to share his views. In the course of Mr. Day's presentation, he mentioned that there are other ports or other areas in the country where lot of exports take place from there. And how can we just have one port in India that can be identified as the landing point for uh, IMEC? Would that really constrain the capacities or the trade flows from other ports? And will not that really come into the efficiency of these ports then? So that can be also a question that can be considered. So I would request Mr. Wag now to please tell us about the JNPA and how you are now positioning yourself as the landing point for IMEC. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Most of the basic points and the philosophy behind it and the steps taken diplomatically has been covered by Prabirji. So I will not repeat that again. But to answer certain questions which you raised, first I will answer them. So most important, what he suggested that there should be a in MIV, Maritime India Maritime Investment Conference, which is to be scheduled later part of this year, we will have a separate pavilion for this for sure, because now it has taken a lot of new things in this particular project by JNPA and Kandla Port. So we will have that special pavilion of IMEC in Maritime Investment Summit. So that is one thing. Second, during his discussion, he raised one very pertinent point that strategically we have selected certain ports, and then whether actually they will be the starting point or not, that is a question. So we corrected, I mean, when this particular move, when Honorable Prime Minister declared in G20, after that they selected certain ports, but initially it was thought of only Kandla. That will be the starting point. But when we realize Kandla is majorly a bulk port, I mean, you understand that bulk port where the loose cargo comes, and the container port, which is a JNPA, where the container comes, the most of the trade now with the developed countries with container. So we immediately corrected ourselves and we added JNPA to it. And just to give some perspective, uh, JNPA, Mundra and Pipavav cover 75% of container traffic of EXIM container traffic of India. And if EXIM as such without transport transshipment is concerned, the JNPA is the major port. So when 75% of traffic and 90 plus percent of traffic to the westbound cargo is covered under these three ports, and JNPA is having major share. So I think JNPA and Kandla well represent as a starting point of India, and by 2030 when Vadwan will be added, which will not the largest will be the largest port of India, but one of the 10th largest port of the world, it will be added to the IMEC. That is another thing. Third aspect I would like to tell that this particular thing was raised during the discussion whether we are equipped and to match UAE. So during Sanju sir's time, we have taken the decision to be a landlord port, and JNPA is the first landlord port. That means all our terminals are operated by the world class operators. In JNPA, we have CMA CGM operating one terminal with JM Bakshi. We have DP World, which operates Jebel Ali, operating two terminals. We have Port of Singapore operating two terminals. We have Merckx, which is operating one terminal. So it is not we are matching to UAE, but we are better than UAE in all the operational parameters. So there is no question that we are not matching. Rather, Jebel Ali has to match JNPA now in the efficiency and other parameter. So that I would like to correct. And one more aspect is that because this domino effect, yes, this particular corridor is a corridor of future, and the basic work has been done, the diplomatically everybody on board. Now the delivery is on the infrastructure sector, and infrastructure on two aspects. One is physical infrastructure and another is a digital infrastructure. We, I was also, I am on the board of Indian Port Global Limited, and Sanjeev sir gave me this task because the Chabar thing was not moving faster. So he asked me to give some practical input, so he put me on that board. That time I got this flavor of INSTC. In INSTC, infrastructure is ready, most of the part of the Iran side and Turkmenia side. But because the processes are not ready, so this movement was not taking place. During when he was secretary, that time one empty container movement we tried, and we faced a lot of hurdles. So definitely, if infrastructure is not there, nothing is possible. But even with the infrastructure available on field, if we are not ready with our processes and digital infrastructure, we cannot go further. So, Mr. Prabir covered most of the things. So I will go to the straight to the point that now what is the next? The intention is there, everybody is on board. So how to move further? So to move further, we are first decided to have the digital connectivity in place before going for the actual cargo movement in this corridor. So how to go about this digital infrastructure and move forward in this corridor? We have tied up with the RITES, JN Port, Kandla Port, and RITES signed MOU just 2 days before. And last to last week, the Secretary Shipping, the chairman Kandla Port, and myself with RITES CMD, we visited Jebel Ali and Fujiara Port, which are the point of contact on UAE side, and we discussed in detail with them, and they have shown willingness to join this digital corridor. So we have come up with this digital application, and that is called Maitri. The Maitri is, I will come to that presentation now, so that I will just give some glimpse of what is now we are doing, so which will be the first stage for the implementation of this particular initiative. So I will not, these things are covered, so I will not touch upon them. So what even Sanjeev sir also told, that it is not only a transportation, then there will be pipelines, then there will be hydrogen pipelines. All those things are there in this particular IMEC thing. Then we have data cable, we have telecommunication network, we will have digital payment ecosystem, so that there should not be duplication and all the countries can use the same digital payment ecosystem. Then we will have the hydrogen pipelines, because India is taking lead in manufacturing of hydrogen, so that this hydrogen, because we have a lot of uh, potential, especially in Kandla port, to go for the manufacture of hydrogen, green hydrogen I am talking about. So the pipelines through this corridor, that is also one of the possibility. So what are the challenges? The finance definitely a challenge, but I don't consider it a major challenge, because once a proper roadmap is there, plan is there, and the results of the objectives and the goals we will set, then finance automatically come. The policy coordination, as every government is on board, the UAE is willing. Now on 8th, the Prime Minister of UAE is visiting JNPA. So UAE is more than willing to come on board. They are already shown their willingness. They are ready to invest also in this Maitri, which I talked about. So UAE leg is not an issue. First, we decided to go one by one. Otherwise, everybody will start and then it will move further. That will not take us anywhere. So first we decided to connect one leg, that is UAE leg first. Then other technological integration and environmental issue, I will come to that. So these are the possibility, and these are the time bound activities, but I will take you to this Maitri. What is Maitri? So what I said, that we should have a digital platform where all the processes, first we will understand each other's process, and then we will streamline our processes to match each other's process, and then digitalize it, so that whatever is acceptable to the UAE customs or the immigration or the port authorities will be acceptable to the Indian authorities also, and vice versa. So it is not a portal, or neither it is a, we are telling them to develop something. They have some data set, we have some data set, and we will create a lake, a data lake, so that it is fit to all the requirement of all the stakeholders. So how it is to be done? So in India side, these are the Indian ports. These are the various systems in place: NLP Marine, ULIP, IceGate, and other portals. Like Indian Railway has some portal, Voice is there. Then the civil aviation has its own portal. So Indian portals will connect through API to Maitri. And similarly, the UAE ports and their system, they will connect to the Maitri through API. So system through API they will connect, system B through API they will connect, and there will be a data lake available. So when we say this Maitri, it it has unique API for the A side and unique API for the B side. And it is not only storage, it will have AI enabled storage. So it will also have some functions to perform. So it will receive data, it will map data. For example, somewhere it is said consignment, somewhere where it is said shipment. So it should understand that these are the same terminologies, then map it accordingly, put, put it in a special predefined format. If there is a missing data, it should also send signal, send message that this data is missing, you please forward that particular data. Then interpret it as per the requirement of system B, so that it will be useful for the system B. So this is the way this Maitri will function. Now this Maitri, once we tested here with UAE, then it will be used, because it is a scalable for the further leg of this particular uh, digital uh, digital systems, which enable this IMEC to do the business and create a corridor which envisaged during the G20 meeting by the Honorable Prime Minister. So this is the way forward. Now where we are, so we pitched in CDAC, we signed MOU with the rights, because rights is the player, it is the who will take it forward. We are financing it. The JNP and Kandla will finance it, because the funding is important aspect, and it will involve more than 20 crore rupees to create this particular system. But in next few months, this system will be in place. So the first thing we will start with, that now we will be ready to do the business as a corridor. Thank you.
Detailed information you have given about the facilities that have been now established at JNPA. It seems that we are in a good position to really have this now model, this digitized model, the Maitri model, which can be now even replicated across the board to other ports along the IMEC route. Um, for shortage of time, I think I will not really give more comments on this. I would only say that we would all like to see the JNPA ourselves. Huh? And
I invite all of you. I mean, you are more than, I will be more than happy
because
to host you in JNPA and really show you so that you will gain some confidence because I thought ki that is not there in our ports here.
because what you have mentioned just now that you JNPA even exceeds Jebel Ali, and our ports are really as efficient and as modern as any of the world ports are. So I think this is a very reassuring message. We have our speaker now, uh, Dr. Meena, and what is the topic you are going to speak on? Multimodal connectivity. Yes, over to you, please.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Chair. Uh, Being the last speaker in any session is a difficult, very difficult task. And I also face the same challenge because much of what I wanted to say has either been said in the morning session or now. But still, I'll try and make my efforts. So whenever we speak of multimodal connectivity, we are speaking of multiple terrain also, like different types of terrain. So in this case, we are crisscrossing geographies of land and ocean, and we are also incorporating the third element of pipeline. So that is the basic multimodal model of connectivity which we have. And we also have heard since morning the term geopolitics more often than not. In every session, and every speaker has mentioned the term, barring perhaps Mr. Unmesh Wag. So let me also say that rather than thinking of it as geopolitics being carried out by each individual actor in this uh, IMEC corridor, in this corridor, let us look at it as a collaborative geopolitics, and that is perhaps the right way to think of geopolitics in this corridor. And as a geographer, I can contribute that much only. I am not still into data crunching, but the wider understanding of geopolitics that I have, I'll try to bring it to the. Can I get the remote? I think. Uh, so if you look at multimodal connectivity and its benefits, I went through a report which had come out some years ago, but there is a number of authors, Shepard and his colleagues, who say that multimodal connectivity brings better linkages to supplies, inputs, and final goods. But in all these ideas about multimodal connectivity by these scholars, they argue that it is also a way to reach unreachable areas in various parts of the world. And because of its multimodal nature, it allows not only the ports and the airports and other, but the land component is also enhanced with multimodality. It leads to trade expansion and FDI. It is important. Maybe what I'm saying now is already legible to you, or you must have come across this, but still to amplify what multimodality is. Uh, the World Bank has argued that it leads also to regional integration. And they have cited examples of ASEAN, it has cited examples of the European Union. Industrial impact is also better through multimodal transportation or multimodal connectivity rather than a single mode of transport. So tourism, manufacturing, retail, all are enhanced, they are improved, and efficient production networks are produced through or created through global and regional efforts. It also leads, as IMEC also been pitched as a development corridor rather than only a logistics corridor or a transport corridor. World Bank again argues that it leads to development and poverty reduction, also multimodal connectivity. So that aspect is very important in this case also, as we are also dealing with a majority of the corridor also runs through a number of developing countries. So that part is very important here. Uh, in this collaborative geopolitics of IMEC, there are a number of stakeholders: United States of America, Europe or European Union, West Asia, and India. I say Europe/European Union because individual countries are also interested, as well as the whole European Union. European Union is also a signatory to the this idea. I'll look at the rationale for collaboration for all of these stakeholders in the slides which come. First of all, United States of America, for them, rather than calling their interests, I'm calling them rationale to give it a more kind of a softer usage of the term, softer perspective. United States of America has always been looking for a global presence, but now that global presence is threatened by the rise of China, and that is what it wants to obviate. And through these projects like IMEC will be a good contribution to their global project presence. United States hardly runs a connectivity project in Eurasia, and that will enhance. This project will enhance their global footprint through their funding and through their efforts. It will pitch for investments from American industry in the project, and perhaps again try and overcome the Chinese influence in the region, which is gaining, especially in West Asia, an increasing foothold. So these are the rationale for collaboration for the United States of America. Then we have Europe or European Union. Europe, we know that is looking for diversification of energy resources due to the ongoing conflict, Russia-Ukraine conflict. Otherwise, also they have been at the forefront of this greening of their energy basket. So they are increasingly investing in. They are already invested in wind energy. They are investing in solar energy and different types of energies. Europe perhaps is the pioneer in many new forms of renewable energies, which have been now being transferred to other parts of the world. So that diversification of energy resources will be a rationale for the EU. They are also looking for improved access to markets through this corridor, mainly India, and it also gels very well into their Indo-Pacific strategy. As was mentioned in the morning session, the Germans, the French, the Italians have their own Indo-Pacific strategy, apart from the European Union, which have an Indo-Pacific strategy of their own. The collaboration part from the European Union is that they are offering multiple ports of entry in Greece, France and Italy. That was also spoken about in the earlier session. But a very interesting development is that yesterday one of the Slovenian ministers announced that they can also offer their port, Koper port, as an alternative to these three ports. And that will lead to access to Central Europe and Eastern Europe. EU, Germany, France, and Italy also have proposed funding from their side. They will have alternative connectivity to India through West Asia. They will access Indian markets, and again, as they de-risk from China and they decouple from Russia, they are looking also for substitutes in Asia, and India could be one of them, though not at that level as China is, but still. If you look at West Asia, another component of another geographical region in the corridor, they are mainly looking at energy exports, importing technology mainly from the EU and European partners in IMEC, and diversification to green energy, because theirs is a region which is still only learning the ropes in terms of accepting green technologies. Then improved infrastructure. They already have some infrastructure in place to move oil and natural gas towards the Mediterranean ports, eastern littoral of the Mediterranean. And it also helps the countries which are participating in this one, the UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to conduct their own regional geopolitics. They are offering alternate routes to Suez Canal, as we know, but Suez Canal is, if you look at the data, you'll find that it is way ahead than the routes which are being proposed in the current context. But nonetheless, an alternative is always welcome. If you look at collaboration side of from West Asia or Middle East, they are looking at railways to the eastern littoral of Mediterranean. It may also lead to the dilution of regional rivalries within the region. So as we know that UAE, Saudi Arabia have at least agreed to come to table with Israel. and though it is through efforts from China, but nonetheless, doesn't matter. It will further dilute these rivalries in the region. Uh, the UAE has pledged funding for infrastructure, and on the other hand, the major challenge which this corridor faces in West Asia is about instability in the region, whereas there is great scope for incorporating multiple options for new routes, thereby having, I think a question was raised about Haifa being the only entry point from Mediterranean and exit point from West Asia. So that can be changed by incorporating more partners in the corridor. Yes, sir. I'll quickly skip to India. India has a huge stake in this corridor, beginning with the fact that it is the rising power not only in South Asia but also in Asia. And it also pitches itself as a major actor in the global South now. It began with the when it was announced. This partnership was, or the corridor was announced in 2023. A major part was about India pitching itself as an important actor in the global South, or perhaps becoming a leader in the global South. Uh, Indian geopolitical perspective is also about balancing as it moves gradually towards a Western partnership. It also has to uh, navigate the fact that China is a permanent neighbor. China's geography is permanent in this case. So that balancing has to come, and I think that's a very realist realization by India if it has to proceed well in not only in South Asia but in the larger global South. Uh, for India, the benefits are there are a number of benefits. We have the chair of the JNPA. I rather not speak about ports here, but the push for domestic production will always be there due to this corridor. This corridor, some Indian corporations or companies may invest in the corridor itself, but otherwise also the domestic production will be enhanced through movement of a lot of goods to and fro from Europe to West Asia to India. And internal lines of transport will be strengthened through this collaboration within the Indian subcontinent. I would like to conclude by saying that it is a unique example of collaborative geopolitics. It benefits all stakeholders, and it provides alternative routes for transport and has potential to mitigate threats in West Asia. Thank you.
Concerns or the interests of all the major partners of the IMEC. And I think each one has, of course, its own interests, but they seem to be now, uh, I think, collaborating in a very good manner. And there are options again which you have mentioned, which can be still exercised as we go on discussing this IMEC project globally. Well, we have we are already run, I think, much late. So I'll take only two questions, very brief ones, and please, if those who have any questions, please identify and make it very brief.
Gulshan Sachdeva, there's no question, there's no time, only just 30-second comment on what Professor Meena mentioned about geopolitics. And when you mentioned about the US rationale, that they do not run any connectivity projects in Asia, so that's their rationale. But we also must remember that the United States also ran a very big connectivity project earlier, the new Silk Road Strategy project, much before even BRI, and that was also announced in Chennai by Hillary Clinton in 2011, and that also failed spectacularly. So we have to be very careful about US designs, and even the name the Middle East itself shows something, because otherwise it would have been something different. Thank you.
Middle East, I think, is the US formulation. Yeah. You have a question somewhere? No. Yeah.
Um, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Dr. Anupama this side. I'm a consultant at RIS. My question also goes out to Dr. Meena because I'm a scholar in geopolitics. The most interesting thing for me out of your presentation, sir, was that you somehow pitted IMEC as an anti-China project, which I'm curious to know more about. Is it about countering China and balancing, or is it about all the other things that we have been talking about since morning, inclusive growth, trade, connectivity, etc.? I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Last question. Huh?
Hello, I'm Rajani Garg from Society of Indian Ocean Studies. So, through this, I can, by this session, I could gather that it's more about IMEC as an anti-China project, as what she has already said. So, I was just curious as to how would the investment affect it, because if we look into the investment or in Haifa port or in that of Abu Dhabi's Khalifa port, these investments are conducted by China, and at the same time, when a country invests, there will be always an influence. So how far will it be that we are able to counter counter China? And unlike that of BRI, where China in itself invests, here we are not even sure as to who is financing it. Thank you.
Yeah. Last question now, please. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Afaq Hussain. I am director at BRIEF's Bureau of Research on Industrial and Economic Fundamentals, and I'm working right now on the economic aspects of IMEC. I'm doing research on that. My question is to the chairman, JNPT, more on the economic aspects. Sir, how do you think the cost element will work in this, given so many handlings that will happen in the corridor? First there is ocean, then there is rail, then there is again ocean. So do you think that it's going to be cost benefit? Although it has been announced that it's going to be 30-40% cheaper, but practically, does it make sense? The other thing is, yes, India, UAE, a lot of developments are happening. India, UAE, you're having Maitri. We don't have rail still. There are more than 2,000 kilometers of rail which is still pending to be laid out. And with the kind of tensions that are going on, how do you see actually this translating into some sort of a reality over the next 5 years also? Thanks.
Thank you. May I now request the two panelists to please answer their questions?
I agree on the part of both the, I think Chair also made the comment about the term Middle East itself. As a geographer, that's why I always, in all the slides I've written West Asia / Middle East. So because from the Indian perspective, it is always West Asia. And if you look at from the perspective of either Europeans or the Americans, it is Middle East. So it's a geographical term. We should always be careful in using these terms. As far as countering China is concerned, I think let us be very open about it. That is one aim of the corridor is that only, to counter China, the Chinese influence in the region, basically in the West Asia. That is the main goal. And apart from that, BRI is the Chinese pitch that as a success, and to bring up a rival project, which still it is not that not that much of a scale or magnitude. Still, there is a project which can be termed as an kind of a counter or an alternative project to the BRI or the MSRI. So in that sense, it is okay, but it is not directly saying countering China. There are benefits also to be gained, as I have mentioned in the slides also. So that is, yes, sir.
Mr. Wagh.
Yeah, this is a very important aspect you said. But one thing in logistic, the cost is subject to situation, time, and opportunity. For example, just to uh, clarify my point, before this Red Sea crisis, no one used to think about going all the way through the Cape of Good Hope. So when situation arise, then even that is also economical now. So when you say कि there are multimodal transport and the cost will incur, but we are creating one alternative route. And another thing, when you are considering a cargo direct from JNPA to Greece, then only this multimodal, but there are many low hanging fruits that the we will have, because the UAE is the fourth largest trading partner. If these things are in place, you will save a lot of money in first leg, and then because you will save a lot of both the way, I mean UAE will be benefited, India will be benefited, trade will be benefited, so others will come, and those missing links will come because of that only.
Thank you. Praveen, do you have anything to say? Well, I think in view of shortage of time, we would now conclude this session, and I would like to thank Mr. Wagh, Dr. Prabir Bey, and Dr. Meena for presenting this excellent comments, excellent information on IMEC. Uh, I think your perspectives have really widened the understanding, and Mr. Wagh's presentation has really given us a very good insight about India's capability in the port sector. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Sir, thank you for conducting this session so efficiently given the time constraint. So I request you to give the
Yeah.
to our
Okay. All right.
panelists, and will request Dr. Rajat Nag to give it to Sir at the end.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please join us for lunch, which is laid out here in this.
Yeah.
We please try to get back by 1:50, 8 or 59, so that we can start by 2. I know it will be too harsh, but kindly cooperate.
Thank you very much.